combination. I'd say those four were kind of four that made it through for further debate in December and then again in January.
Is your perception that this was chosen to help equalize the impact on a larger number of people versus a concentrated number? Is that why you thought that this was the more popular choice among the council members?
I think so. I think it reaches a broader group. I think the idea that it impacts people then who are coming into the community for various events, I think that was appealing to them. It wasn't just trying to feed amongst ourselves and try to draw some other people in here. I think that's kind of what led to them ultimately choosing this idea.
So if we get a couple more to resign, we won't have to worry about any of this.
It's a possibility. You get a couple more, we won't be able to have meetings at all. It might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, depends on where you sit.
I did have a question. This West Scott Street Road, I used to live on West Mary Street. There used to be gravel.
Yes.
I know it was blacktop, and it is very rough now, I know that. But is that going to be turned into concrete, or is that blacktop?
I believe the plan there is to turn that into concrete.
Yeah.
It was never blacktop. We armor coated it. We did a double armor coat back, a decade ago or so, and that held up pretty well. The only purpose of that was to control dust during the fair, but it works really well. This last year we had a mill and overlay project come through town. We tried to take the millings over there and rework the road. The first day worked great, and so if you drive from Sumner Street going west, the first couple blocks are pretty good. The second day it rained, and so when they brought out the millings, it had a bunch of water in them and they didn't set up right and didn't work. So we have another mill overlay project coming this fall, or this summer. We might go try to do something again there, but it's hard to say whether or not we'll be able to. But the idea there is to put it to concrete. That's what the
I know that there's virtually no traffic there except probably during the fair. There's no houses on there, on that street, up until you get to probably Michael J. Street and past. There's probably 3 residents on that. I know Cedar School's on the other side.
Correct.
That road is, you should take a traffic count.
We have traffic count. I have to look, see what the number is. I don't know.
I would like to know that number.
I can look at the office.
I know when I was at the city council, they were hoping that doing some of these road projects would spur development out there and make it better access and be able to sell lots easier. But again, that's,
Like housing lots on the west side?
I think that's what they were talking about. But again, would that ever happen?
A lot of traffic takes that to bypass Fourth Street.
Yeah.
There's never fewer than 2 or 3 cars that stops in there trying to pull out of college. So heading to the west.
It's like anything else. You build it, they'll drive on it.
What?
Yeah, you build it, they'll drive on it. I know college kids are probably the biggest users of that road.
Well, we've got lots of vacant lots in town, to develop one right now. I don't know why we look over there.
That is a road that has been on the city council's radar for years.
Okay.
Now, is this the end all be all? This is the list that we will do? No. Is it possible that they may come to their senses, stand and say, West Scott Street doesn't need to be anything done. Instead, let's go do, Industrial Row. Let's redo that one. It's a possibility.
As long as you don't close the access to the Kmart building.
Well, we'll talk about that one a different day.
That comes up every 6 months, so we have to fight them. They want to close off the access to the place that pays real estate taxes and generates sales tax.
Well, hey, we're trying. We're going to keep chipping away at you.
Yeah, no, it's not going to work. You're not going to close it. I mean, why would you, here you're going to raise sales tax, you're going to close off the access to the bank and the 10 businesses we brought to town to generate sales tax. And our real estate tax went up every time we put a new tenant in. Well, they leave like alcohol, they don't go down. We don't understand. Well, I guess we
It's one of the things that I think was mentioned right away was economic development. And I really haven't heard a lot, maybe I haven't sat in on those meetings with this from the city standpoint, but a growing community helps a lot of this.
Yes, it does.
And what's the city doing in that area to work with the chamber and work with Main Street and other Engage and the like to really start to move that along?
Well, I think the most obvious one that they're doing is funding Engage to the tune of about $100,000 a year to help spur economic development. And Engage obviously is in between directors right now, and they're going through the process of hiring a new one. So, hopefully a new director coming in can help spearhead some things and move things forward. I'll tell you, even without a director, it hasn't stopped. And there's still inquiries coming in, but as you know, unless you have the one person in your business who's dedicated to X, sometimes kind of gets forgotten sometimes and pushed to the side, for a week or two before it gets picked up again. The city's still out there. We're still looking at new businesses coming in. And the hard part with economic development is the only time you hear about them are the ones that actually succeed. You don't hear about the 10 other ones that came, kicked the tires, just didn't like the color of the truck for whatever reason and decided to go buy the next one.
Or they didn't like the sales tax.
Or you didn't like the sales tax. You don't hear about those, and that's one of the downsides of economic development. We've had several that were very close and just weren't able to land the prospect for one reason or another, and we try to learn from those and move on to the next one.
We've got basically two things here in town. We've got the farm economy, which has been awesome the past couple of years. That's not projected to be good the next couple of years.
The corn's supposed to be down a little bit.
Corn's supposed to be down a lot, down to this $4 level. The other things, we've got lawnmowers. We manufacture lawnmowers. What else do we do?
Well, I think if you went and asked in the APCO, I think they would tell you something different.
Well, okay, we got the apple too.
All
right, forgot nothing.
I think if you went and talked to the college, I think they'd tell you something different. I think you would talk to BSDC or the schools. I think you have a number of industries. Are we real good at advertising ourselves? No, we're not. Can we be better at selling ourselves? Absolutely. We are good, honest Nebraskans, and we don't talk about ourselves and we don't boast, and I think that hurts. I think we need to go out and advertise what we have and what good things we have going on to encourage people to come here, to encourage families to want to move here. I think we can do that, but we all have to get on the same page. When I say all of us in this room, I mean Main Street and Chamber and the city and Engage and everybody working together and moving towards the same goal. I think that's what we need to do. And if you have a good idea or a good plan, let me know what it is. I'll be happy to help take it and see if we can grow it.
He had an interesting story this morning. He told me, and I'll let him pass it on regarding that.
I was really hoping you remembered that. In 2013, beginning of 2013, end of 2012, it was after the unfortunate incident that happened in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, when everything got really, gun control became the major topic for everyone. Well, our neighboring state over here, Colorado, decided to put in some pretty restrictive legislation.
Correct.
Pro-Second Amendment. Not to get into that conversation. I could take the rest of the day in and of itself. And there's a manufacturer there called Magpul. They manufacture plastic anyway. Long story short, I called, I think it was the Chamber or the Gage County Economic Development. I think it was the Chamber. I told them about the business. I said, you need to get a hold of this industry, Magpul Industries in Colorado.
Because they employ 800 people.
Yeah, they employ 800 people, and millions of dollars in business a year, and they're moving. Colorado passed a law, and they said, see you later. I said, we've got a really big building just north of town that would suit them perfect. And I don't know if anything ever got followed up with them or not. But
I can tell you that we did make contact with them.
Did you?
Yes.
Excellent.
I will tell you that I had the idea for more than one person in town, and
Good.
we did make contact with them, and push came to shove, we couldn't get them to come here, but yeah, we did make contact with them.
That's good to hear. Because I never heard anything one way or the other if you did. I mean, because it was one of those things like, I got an idea, so I called somebody.
Right.
You know,
Yes, we made contact with them, and I think.
because I would love to see 500 to 800 new jobs.
Absolutely.
North of town a mile.
Right.
You know.
We'll deal with the backlash of the whole gun thing after we get here.
Nobody said a word in Nebraska if you brought 500 jobs to Nebraska. We'd be like, right on, good job. I don't care what they do, as long as it's not, nuclear devices.
Well, I bet if you put a prison there, we'd fill it up.
Then we'd have people talking.
Yeah, you'd be better off building gun parts out there.
What other questions do you have, or do you want to know answers to?
Any contact with the rare earth solar people?
Have not heard from Rare Earth Solar in 2 years.
They're still active. They're in South Dakota. They're in North Dakota, am I not? Because they've got a lot of funding up there, and they've got new ventures, and they're still very interested in the Atlas. They hate the weather up there, I can tell you that. they want to come back here and they keep talking Husker Martinville. So, might want to contact them if there's anything, but they're up there now because of the dollars that they're able to get from the community in North Dakota.
Incentives.
Incentives, yeah, they're huge, I guess. Of course, they got lots of oil money, right? And we've got higher sales tax.
If you come up with questions between now and May, or after May, or anytime,
How do you plan to publicize your stance on this?
you know, I don't think it's the city's position to come out, well, we can't come out and tell you that, hey, please go vote for this. I think the stance is just come out and educate people, sit down and have these talks, these communications and say, here's the situation we're in, here's the alternatives we looked at, here's the one we picked. If you got a better idea, please let me know. And I've had these talks a couple of times, and Main Street's been grateful and had one for me. But I think that's kind of the plan.
And I realize this is out of the scope of the city, but it's just a question. You talked about a wheel tax for the city. Is there not a reason that the city can't approach the county and say, why don't we get together on this and have a county wheel tax that the city gets a portion of and the county gets a portion of? I live outside of the city.
So you like the wheel tax?
Well, but here's where I'm at. I personally, I wouldn't be totally opposed to a wheel tax that helped make my roads better.
If
That's where I'm going with this.
I'd have to
You know,
go.
when you live down my road, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I'd have to read state statute, but I think it says cities have the ability to impose a wheel tax. I'm not sure counties have one. I don't know of any conversation between city and county about imposing a county-wide one, and hey, city, you get half, and county gets half. I've not been privy to any of those conversations, but I'm not sure the county has the ability. I don't know for sure.
And I don't know what the numbers are, obviously, instead of doing $44 a person that just affects the people in town, maybe you could do,
The whole county.
$25 a person for the whole county.
That's the burden on everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
It includes Plymouth and Whitewater.
And Blue Springs, and yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just what maybe I don't know if it's an explorable option, if you can or if you can't, but my point is maybe everybody wins with that if they can, because then the people that live outside of town, maybe our roads get to be maybe we get a little more money to help. Because that's what we hear about our roads outside of the city is there's no money. And
If this list of streets is not a done deal, let's say we impose the increase in the sales tax to go toward roads, will there be another entire discussion on exactly which streets we're going to improve so that it makes economic sense as to which roads, or are we just going to say these are on the list as first come on the list and we're just going to check them off and go down that list?
Assuming it passes in May, the new sales tax wouldn't go into effect until January 1st, okay? So you don't think that 2014, you're not going to see construction on these projects during this construction season. 2015, you'd have some money coming in to start construction, but it's not going to be a huge amount. In addition, since we do the engineering in-house, we're going to need some time for my one engineer to start putting all this together. I would say during that time, you would have a conversation at the council level of, okay, which projects rate priority list, high to low, and which ones do we want to tackle first, and which ones are maybe on, lower down the list, and 3 years from now, all of a sudden we need to move this project up. I would envision that conversation happening yearly, because every year is going to change. Every year when the budget season comes up, you're going to say, we got this pot of money from the sales tax, thanks to Stan. Now, what road can we build and name after Stan? I think that you would have...
Talking about Stanworth?
No, I'm thinking about Stan Meyer. I think you'd have that conversation every year when the budget time came.
I know what's Scott Street.
You know what Scott Street?
Yeah, I'll take everyone. Yeah.
I think you'd have it do it. That's what I would envision. The administration, we're going to come and have our recommendation to do X, Y, and Z, and every year the council will go, no, we like A, B, and C. Okay. And council, those budget hearings are open to the public. I know none of you have attended ever, but please, you're welcome to attend.
that kind of basically comes down to what the council tells you you're going to work on, doesn't it?
Yes.
For the most part.
Yeah, we make our recommendations and those 8 people will go, no, we're going here instead.
Quick question, just because we know that the whole I guess, perception of this, no matter which way, is what's going to sway this thing, whether it happens or does not, especially afterwards. What types of things are within the power of those within this room, or even more, I guess, here with the city, to try to help mitigate those negative perceptions if something like this did go through, to try to show, hey, it is only going to be very small. It's not worth driving up to Lincoln, although that's where everyone's mindset's going to be. Hey, Beatrice is more expensive. Let's get out of Dodge.
I think you've done the first step, and that's getting educated. And that's why, if there's a question you want an answer to, pick up the phone, call me. I'll find it out for you. We'll give it to you. And if somebody else comes and talks to you about it, at least you're educated enough to talk to them about it. And if you don't know the answer, direct them back to come talk to me. I'm happy to go talk to any group that's out there. I don't care if it's one person or 3 or 5 or 20. We'll help everybody walk through and understand where we're at. I think that's the biggest thing.
But the city probably can't put out ads or anything else saying, hey, it's not going to be that big of a thing. This is what
we can't do that. So if any of you wish to do that, we'd be happy to help you out there.
Dave, I have one quick question. Do you have the sales tax figures for the last 5 years?
I don't have them. I have them at the office. I can tell you how much our sales tax has been in the last 5 years.
Can you? Okay, I'll give you a call.
On behalf of the chamber, I have asked Tobias if he has a fact sheet that we could put out. He's waiting to hear from the League of Municipalities on what he can put out. So once we get that fact sheet from Tobias, we will be sharing it with all of our chamber members. We recorded this today so they can go on our YouTube channel so that people that were not able to attend can listen to what was said today. We're also looking at doing an evening meeting the same way. The chamber really wants to be part of educating all of the community of Beatrice so they have an informed choice when they go to the polls in May.
My thoughts, I don't think this meeting was publicized enough for you to have that turnout. Matter of fact, he wouldn't have been there.
No, I was out on the farm feeding my logs at 11 o'clock in the afternoon.
Thanks, Dennis. I got me to blame for him.
Enjoy it.
I mean, I stumbled on you.
Okay, how did you, okay, that's a good question for us, because it went out in all the chamber blasts, it went out in the chamber newsletter. I talked about it on our radio show this week.